Towards an Art of Liberation, Notes on Practice. This is the second of the blog posts, and it begins with the following preamble. This is a document that follows on from my blog, Notes in My Research, which constituted a 1,000-word summation of my thesis regarding art and labour, which my supervisor had asked for. Here I answered their demand to turn my gaze back on myself and ask how my art can constitute a break from this, how we can begin to move towards a form of art which can liberate us from the work ethic and from the demands of capitalism. Following from this will be a post discussing possible objections to my ideas. Towards an Art of Liberation, Notes on Practice. Art is for discovery, new possible meanings, nuances, revolutionary worlds. Prévost 1990, 179. If, as I argued previously, we accept that there is an issue surrounding unpaid labour and structural inequality within the dissemination of art, and the idea of artist as arbiter of meaning, then what can we as artists do? If Bourriaud, mispronunciation again, still finds himself trapped within the Protestant work ethic when he decries the sure instinct to laziness, Bourriaud 1998-53, if those who decry conceptual art, then how do we break free from labour as a prerequisite for being an audience member, for doing the brand, Cutcher and Achtel 2017. How do we, as artists, point a way towards an art which is not based in exploitation or the models of capitalism? I hope to begin to do this by examining the ways in which I have tried to explore the creation of meaning within my own work. I will begin by discussing this in generalised terms before moving on to discuss how this is manifest in some works I have created for installation. Meaning without hierarchy. To begin in examining the means by which we may liberate audiences and level the hierarchy of the artist-audience dichotomy. Here there's a footnote, so I will leave that. I will rather read that, leaving aside for now the possibility of deconstructing this dichotomy and exposing the power relationships enacted by it. It is necessary to discuss the ways in which I constructed meaning. I feel this is important because it begins the process of collapsing hierarchies before we can even get to the point of beginning to the construction of art itself. The metaphorical system I have chosen to use within my work is one taken from medieval biblical exegesis. Within this tradition, a text could be ascribed several different but interrelated meanings. These were not discrete from one another but formed a figurative, allegorical, spiritual group, a polyphony of thought. Rothenberg, 2011, where one meaning is not given precedence over the other, and each of the readings coexist with one another, with each enriching the other. With this in mind, it becomes possible to create works without a singular interpretation in mind, but rather to allow Rothenberg's polyphony of thought to create a multitude of possible readings, interpretations, and experiences. With this model in place, the possibility of establishing a singular meaning which can demand an audience member to uncover under the threat of mere lamenting their sure instinct to laziness is lost. We begin from a position where there is no work that an audience member can undertake which can uncover the meaning I've encoded within my work, as there is no meaning. Meaning is waiting to be uncovered within the intersubjective relationship that our objects arouse in visitors. Choi, 2013, 52. towards an act of liberation. This can be seen in two works I have produced for installations, Notes Towards Western Wind, veiled in 2020, and RGB, veiled in 2021. Notes Towards Western Wind takes John Tavener's Western Wind Mass as a theme and explores the relationship it has with the poem Western Wind. There's another footnote here, and it relates to the text of Western Wind, which is as follows. Western wind, when wild I blow, the sma rains down the rain, crest of my lover in my arms, and on my bed again. Anon, 15th century. This is done by taking four elements from the poem: wind, rain, physical distance, and emotional distance, and sets them as four parts of a mass setting. This mirrors the earlier settings of the Western Wind Mass Tavener made, which only set four of the parts of the mass. The resultant piece would be staged with each of the four pieces playing from speakers situated as close to the cardinal points of the compass as could be achieved. The final part of the mass is not stated which parts are set, and is for the individual to decide what they wish to take from the exhibition. Arises from the literal position of individuals within the space in which the piece is being exhibited. By moving around within the space, the individual finds their own meaning, their own realization of the final part of the mass. This idea was expanded upon in RGB, veiled in 2021, in which a similar model was used to construct a three-screen installation with sound, which tried to create an analogue of the RGB colour space. The elements within this piece constituted three films of monochromatic red, green and blue paintings with accompanying sound marks. With this, any concrete relationship to existing musical forms were stripped away, and the emerging property was figuratively a colour. As the explanatory test for the visitor states, you're invited to move through the exhibition space and experience different mixtures of the individual elements of the exhibition. Wherever you find yourself in the exhibition space, you've created a new colour out of both the audio and visual elements of the piece, veiled in 2021. In both these pieces, there is no overarching meaning to be mined from the work, no meaning to be created from the work you undertake as a visitor, and no work to undertake. The work offers you a meaning which is yours to share with others, and the only stipulation in you is to be present within the space. So where are we now? The world is dominated by one long hymn to work, Horkheimer, 1956-19. Bourriaud decries the laziness of audiences in the face of difficult art, and in doing so finds himself sinking into the very capitalist mire he seeks to escape then. What can we as artists do to further the project of liberatory aesthetics? How do we envisage an art which escapes capitalism from within capitalism? One possible solution, and the one I have chosen to pursue, is to create art where the creation of meaning becomes the work of individuals, facilitated by the artist and not dictated by them. It is to offer the elements of meaning and to leave the final act of creating that meaning in a space where artist and audience are equal. We must accept that the radical requirement, both for the individual who considers himself or herself to be an oppressor, and for the oppressed, is that the concrete situation which begets oppression must be transformed. Freire, 1970-24.